So Alex Hormozi has just revealed he's using AI automation to pump out 500 ad creatives every single day. He's just revealed the entire strategy he follows to pump out this level of creative at scale. And in this video, I'm going to break down his entire strategy for you, the principles behind it, why it works so well, and exactly how you can execute the exact same thing yourself. So first things first, the principle behind this. So the era right now of broad ad campaigns is long over. Since Meta introduced Andromeda into their algorithm last year around August, what's now fundamentally changed about how the algorithm works is that Andromeda now reads what's been said in the creative and who, if there is a person in the creative, is in it. What it then does is it matches each individual ad to the micro segment of the audience who it determines and feels is most likely to respond based on what has been said. And it's for that exact reason why I am sure you have seen Alex Hormozi and now so many other brands publish tons and tons of ad creatives that look just like this. If you own a window installation company doing $1 million a year, we made this scaling roadmap for you. And the exact reason why he started doing this in the first place and why every other brand now is doing the exact same thing is because the way Meta designed their algorithm with Andromeda is to ensure that the consumer experience is meant to feel hyper-catered to each individual person individually and specifically because, like I said, Andromeda reads what's said in the creative and then matches it with the micro segment most likely to respond. So in this instance, and this example, and again, Hormozi has flooded his ad account with hundreds of variations of this. If you are someone that owns a window installation company that's doing over $1 million a year, which of course is a very specific micro subsegment of his audience, Meta will read this and it will match it with that exact person. Of course, for Alex Hormozi, this is very much for warm traffic, not quite as effective on cold traffic. It's his personal brand that facilitates this and actually makes it work so effectively. But that aside, this is why this type of creative works so incredibly well. So like I said, and as Alex himself put it, the consumer experience is designed to now feel hyper-catered to each person specifically.
It's all subsegments because they want the process, rather they want the experience for a consumer to feel like the algorithm is so catered to them, which means that advertisers can no longer just be like, hey, buy my shit.
So then now as a result, what actually happens, typically for most accounts, is that you get an incredible ROAS out of the gate within the first 2-3 days of having launched a new creative, but then the creative fatigues and burns incredibly quickly and faster than basically ever before. Winners die very fast. It's harder to find a true winner, and everything essentially operates in short cycles. And that key point is the entire focal point of this strategy. The burnout rate is the most important thing that you can focus on. If a creative dies in 24, 48, 72 hours, the unit of competition between you and another ad account, another competitor, is not the ad or the creative itself. It's essentially the rate in which you are able to replace that fatiguing creative. Everything else in the entire ad account across your entire creative strategy is basically downstream of how quickly you can replace it. Now, Alex himself said that his biggest advantage was starting as a local business owner.
The biggest gift I ever got was I started as a local business owner. And so I had the same 100,000 people I could advertise to. So I had to make fuckloads of creative before it was cool.
And as he mentioned there, he had the same 100,000 people to advertise to. He could not physically widen the audience because it was a local gym. So therefore, creative volume was really the only lever. He was forced to make tons and tons of creative with diverse, unique messaging before it was even cool and trendy to do so. But now basically what's happened is Andromeda has forced every advertiser into that same local operator. And honestly, in my opinion, this is by far the most effective mental model to really assume when thinking about creative diversity, when thinking about Andromeda and how this actually works. Because for a lot of people, they don't actually understand what that means, what creative diversity really means to them. So put yourself in the shoes of this analogy. If you were in the situation where whichever target audience that you sell to, if there were only a fixed amount of people that you could sell to, it was 100,000 people, no more, there's just no way you could physically expand that particular audience. How different would you approach your creative strategy to ensure that you were maximizing the potential from that audience? Well, of course, you'd be more intentional with the diversity. You'd be testing more formats. You'd be very unique in the messaging. And that is exactly what Andromeda requires to be successful inside of an ad account, whether or not that is the case in terms of your audience. Now, Alex said he targets 500 pieces of creative per day as an absolute bare minimum.
So for example, like we put out, gosh, I'd say collectively probably 500 pieces of creative a day.
Which broken down is roughly 50-50 between static and video. And it's exactly how you are able to produce the someone like me creative that Andromeda rewards. And what I mean by that is, like I mentioned previously, in terms of in order to be successful, you have to produce this style of creative where it resonates with the exact person you intend to reach within your campaign, within your creative strategy. That's someone like me, that creative that someone sees and they resonate with because they can resonate with that specific audience that you are targeting because it is them. And the only way you are able to do that and reach so many individual subsegments of your audience is with this level of volume, because again, that's what Andromeda rewards. It's sized to how fast your creative dies. But that said, volume aside, diversity is just as, if not more important. The messaging needs to be effectively 100% unique across every individual creative. Gone are the days where, for example, if you were launching video ads, you could record 5-10 pieces of video, the body, the meat, the CTA of the actual video ad, and then stitch on 5-10 individual hooks. That does no longer work anymore, and it's the exact same concept with statics. It's why for basically every successful scaling ad account with static ads, you will see so much diversity in the format, the messaging, the style. Just like these examples right here. Of course, slight caveat here because they are for different offers he has running, but they are so different in terms of the overall look and feel, the style. Obviously, this is more professional, more SaaS info. This is like cartoon based. So the actual branding, the fonts, obviously the colors are somewhat similar with the purple, but the overall look and feel and the messaging is so completely diverse and unique. It's why it works. And again, if you look at so many of these scaling ad accounts, you will see something very, very similar. It doesn't even matter whether the creative, the colors, the logo, the font is on brand. It doesn't matter if there's creative congruency with the landing page you are redirecting people to afterwards. You want to go as varied as physically possible with this creative. Now, of course, the tendency is to think, well, our brand colors are black, white, and green, so we need to make sure that every single creative we make is black, white, and green with the exact same font that we use. You do not need to do that whatsoever. In fact, the opposite is now true with Andromeda. The more diverse you can make these creatives, the wider the variety of styles, of colors, of visual formats, just like these examples right here, the wider the variety is, the better these ads are going to perform, because again, Meta gives you then more opportunity to distribute the ads to those individual subsegments of your audience. There are people, for example, that will resonate with this visual format and style, and there is another subsegment of his audience that will more resonate with this specific style, format, diversity, whatever you want to call it. Again, it's just maximizing the opportunity of reaching as many people within that target audience pool as possible. The algorithm needs distinct signals to be able to match it to sub-segments. Again, if you take your entire audience, there are different people that react and respond to different things. In his audience, there are going to be some people that, for whatever reason, the way they're neurologically wired, react and like the look of this static ad, and therefore this grabs their attention. But there are also going to be some people that think this looks a bit corny and would react more to this because it feels more professional. Again, you're simply just maximizing the likelihood of resonating with each individual person. Now, for video, and even to some extent static, something that I will point out is that you can have different people saying the same hook. That's absolutely fine. The most important thing is the variety in the messaging and the overall format of the video. So you can have 10 different people saying the exact same hook, but if those 10 different people look completely different, are dressed in different ways, speak in different ways with different accents, and are based in different settings and backgrounds and environments, then that is the exact diversity that the algorithm actually requires. So then how does his system work? What does it look like, and how can you do the same? Very simply, the TLDR, is he pushes out massive variety at volume, and whenever something wins, they add it to a winner sheet, which feeds the AI, and then every new generation is built off proven winners. So for video, he has 100 individual real-life creators. Each of those produce 5 individual pieces of content, again, like I mentioned, with different backgrounds, environments, and so forth. So then basically you have 100 individual mouths on a separate set of hooks. For statics, he has this AI automation producing 100 to 200 individual statics every single week, 0 human input required whatsoever. It runs in parallel with the human production for video, complements it, and gives him this volume at scale. So again, very simply, like I said, he has AI automation built to be able to produce static ads just like this, aimed at different specific target audiences. They run a ton of these ads. Then every single week, they upload the best performing static ads into a database with a reference as to why it was so effective and what made it work so well. The AI then gets trained on that winner sheet, and then the next batch of static ads the AI produces will become smarter and better because it's being trained on the references of exclusively winning ads. Because really, the principle here behind why this works so well is that AI is a commodity. Every single company in the world, your competitors, they all have access to basically, within reason, the same AI tools as you do. The actual asset, the biggest thing that separates you from other brands is the data set of what has actually converted. This is the moat. This is the mechanism of the compounding because it's the data that's unique to your brand specifically, unique to your ad account and your performance that no other brand can replicate. You are training AI on your data, which is so incredibly unique to you and valuable that no other brand could replicate it. But for the feedback to work, the winner sheet must log Y, like I mentioned. There is no point just uploading a static ad into a sheet because then the AI is just going to clone it with no real understanding as to what the pattern was that it can reproduce, what made this an effective ad in the first place. And on top of that, the last thing I will say on this topic is that if you want to crank out 100 to 200 static ads on a weekly basis, you absolutely do need a QC gate, a quality control process, because otherwise you will be producing AI slop. And you don't want to produce AI slop. You want to make sure you're producing content that converts. And you absolutely have to have something like that at this level of volume in order to produce good quality content. So as a closing principle, you can do this with anything. You can do this with emails. You can do it with landing pages, with copy, with social media content. And people already have done that for a long time. They upload all of their best performing emails into a Claude project, and then they write new emails based on that. They upload more, it gets smarter, the emails get better, and it compounds more and more. So why not ads? Why haven't people done this? Well, Hormozi has, he's figured it out, and you should be doing the exact same thing. And in my opinion, it is arguably where it pays off the most because, of course, paid creative is your highest volume, but also fastest feedback channel. So in summary, Hormozi's strategy, he has 2 content engines being produced, human for video, AI for statics. He feeds massive amounts of uniquely messaged content into the ad account. He relies and lets the market itself pick the winners, which then get logged into a sheet, which then feeds the AI, and then it compounds into a unique proprietary edge for your brand and your brand only. So that right there is the exact strategy that Alex Hormozi uses for AI ads in his account, which evidently is crushing it for him right now. And that's exactly how you can do something similar. Now, I found a ton of value from his strategy, and I hope you found value from this video too. Summarizing it, drop a like and comment below if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.